is what we typically do is we have a what's that called? But what's that stand for? Request. I couldn't think of the R. A request for bid. So it details what all of the specifics are. If you don't know, we have 3 cemeteries, which we had talked before. Like Josh was saying, per city in the area, we have way more than anybody else. Baxter has 1 they take care of. Did you say Columbus has 1? So it's much easier when we have 3. Regardless, I agree with you. They should look pristine 100% of the time. So we map that out, and it doesn't include just mowing. It includes leaf removal, things like that. And how we started it, was it last year or 2 years ago? Because we've gone back and forth just in my time here. We've gone between our city maintenance department handling it and bidding it out. And because there are pros and cons to both.
And I did it with the city when I was like 14. Yeah,
did you?
Yeah.
Which we talked about some of the pros and some of the cons of having teenagers, because that's about who we'd probably get for the most part, are teenage boys. So ideally we want to bid it out. So it lists all of that. We'll put it in the paper. We need to get all that because mowing season is starting tomorrow probably, but close. So, it's council's hearing. I would like to propose an end date on the bids next Friday. That's the 14th. That means we'd have all bids by our next council meeting, that Monday, to look over. And what we've done, I didn't say this, but what we've done is individual bids for each cemetery. So we have Oak Hill, we have Old Galena, we have Hillcrest. And I don't believe we've ever awarded it this way, but if we wanted to, we could say that bid looks like it's best for Oak Hill, this bid looks like it could be best, so we don't have to do all 3 the same. Money is a big factor in that, in what we can and can't do. I know a lot of times too, it doesn't always equate to this, but the higher the price, sometimes it means more experience, better equipment, maybe more employees that can help take care of things. But you're from around here. We don't have a ton of money. So we've got to find that fine line of not having a lot of money, but get somebody that can take care of it.
Sure.
There was 1 year, 5 years ago or so, maybe not that long ago, we hired a gentleman, super nice guy. I think he was from the Seneca area. Older gentleman. He, told us he could take care of it. We even have, a lot of times I'll meet with Josh too. So Josh can point out exactly, here's what we need, here's what we expect. And it turned out to be, I think it was him and 2 kids. Was it 2? And it was just way too overwhelming for him. We felt so bad because he was trying. It wasn't like he just didn't show up. It was just way too much for him.
That was my fear for last year. I just didn't want to disappoint the community, and I didn't feel I was prepared, And then last year happened, and I thought, man, I would have done a better job,
Yeah. Even Josh, because I ask him, I feel like every year, what's it look like again for you to take it back over? Minus the headache, but what's that look like finance-wise, employee-wise? And I think he said it would be full-time seasonal. He said he usually has 5 guys around the clock every day on weed eaters, and then 2 on mowers. And around the clock, they just go from one to the next and then start until we hit the drought. And like I said last summer, I don't feel like it was till August or so that we even hit that. It wasn't even as bad as some summers have been. You just never know.
As soon as you get them all done, they're ready to go.
Right back to it. So, so long story short, it'll be posted, as long as council's okay with that, posted on our city website and in the paper, beginning tomorrow. I guess Tracy could get it out today if we all agree with it tonight on the city website. Accept bids. Again, like I said, this is tentative as long as the council agrees with it till next Friday. Josh, his number's on there to call if there are questions or you want to meet out with him, and then submit them, and we'll open bids all at the same time for anybody that we look at and decide that day.
Perfect.
Yep.
Do you have a crew or is it you?
I have a crew.
Have a crew?
Yeah, I have a business. It's Prime Scene. I don't know if you guys see my signs. Yeah, I got some signs in Galena, so you'll see them out.
I've seen you today leafing.
Yeah. I was at her son-in-law's and her daughter. Oh, I forgot my paper up here. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and talk about it. So that was a quick explanation, but like I said, we do this most years. Are you guys good with that?
I'm good with that.
The RFB is, like I said, very detailed. It talks about the cemeteries. It lists the acreage of all the cemeteries, the additional stuff that's included. What was it? Leaf removal,
leaf and limb and, do you have it, Tracy? I know we talked about bringing it.
I might have to make sure you turn.
The one in your email's not right. You have to go to the one on the drive.
And where would I pick one of those up after today? One of those
City clerk's
bids?
office.
Okay.
We'll have them.
I'll just read it real quick so you all can hear. So it says, the cemetery of Galena, the city of Galena, Kansas is requesting proposals for professional services to provide maintenance of cemetery grounds of Oak Hill, Old Galena, and Hillcrest cemeteries. Qualifications: proposals will be accepted only from qualified contractors with experience and competency in mowing and grounds maintenance. Successful bidders will need to maintain a current business license with the city of Galena. The length of contract for services requested is for 1 year, beginning April 1st, 2025 through March 31st of 2026. The contract will be paid by the city monthly beginning May 1st through April 1st. The city, upon request from the contractor, reserves the right to extend this contract as needed based on satisfactory performance. Oak Hill maintained the cemetery grounds, including all areas within the property occupied by grave sites, future grave sites, grass roadways, and the lawn area near the front entrance, both inside and outside the rock wall surrounding the east and south sides of the cemetery, including the road ditches. In total, this includes maintenance of approximately 22 1/2 acres of area used or reserved for cemetery use. At Old Galena Cemetery, is to maintain the cemetery grounds, including all areas within the property occupied by grave sites. In total, this includes maintenance of approximately 9 1/4 acres of area used or reserved for cemetery use, including the areas outside of the rock wall next to the streets. And for Hillcrest, it's to maintain cemetery grounds, including all areas within the property occupied by grave sites and future grave sites. In total, this includes maintenance of approximately 13 1/3 acres of area used or reserved for cemetery use, including the area outside of the wire rope fence to the south near the highway, and the ditch line to the east and north where property borders the street. Maintenance provided by the contractor shall include mowing of all mowable areas during the growing season to maintain a grass height not to exceed 3 inches and not less than 2 1/2 inches. The typical growing season shall be defined as March 1st through October 31st. Trimming around all gravestones and markers within the cemetery so that vegetation around such obstacles does not exceed a height of 3 inches. It includes removal of any grass clippings from gravestones and markers. Removing fallen limbs year-round and leaves in the fall. Removing any tree or brush growth from around grave markers or headstones. Removal of old floral arrangements from grave sites. Removal of all trimmings from the cemetery. Trimming of trees, brush, and grass may be mulched at a site within the cemetery only upon approval of the site by the city superintendent and provided such mulch site is properly maintained. The contractor shall furnish all labor, materials, tools, and equipment to perform said cemetery maintenance. The contractor shall not be considered an agent or employee of the city for any purpose and shall be deemed an independent contractor. The contractor shall be solely liable for any injury to persons, employees, property of the contractor, or property of others. The contractor shall maintain contractor's liability insurance in the amount of $300,000 for all services outlined. A certificate of insurance must be submitted to the city for the term of the contract on or before April 1st of 2025. The contractor must also carry workers' compensation for all workers in accordance with Kansas law. Failure to submit a certificate of insurance or cancellation of said insurance without prompt replacement will be cause for immediate termination of the contract. Proposals should include qualification and annual maintenance charge for each cemetery listed separately. The city may select up to 3 different contractors, assigning 1 cemetery to each contractor based on the proposal that will be deemed the most advantageous to the city. So then it lists where to mail your sealed bids to. States the date. All proposals must be received by March 14th at 12 p.m. The city of Galena will answer any question prior to the deadline for proposals. The selection of a contractor will be based on the evaluation of the proposals. The city reserves the right to select a contractor directly from the written proposals. The award may be made to the most qualified contractor whose proposal is deemed most advantageous to the city, all factors considered. Unsuccessful contractors will be notified as soon as possible. So that's it. And then there's a place for where you would fill out your information, just name, your business name, your location, ask for a number of employees, and then a place for each of your separate bids.
Okay.
So that's what I would say. Any discussion on what the RFP is. Everybody good with that to be put out?
Carry insurance, right? I didn't
Yes.
hear where you said there's an
Yeah.
insurance policy.
Workman's comp and. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Do we need a motion? Okay. Someone want to put that in a motion to open it up for bid?
Make a motion, sorry.
Second.
We have a motion by Rick Tracy to open up cemetery bids based off the RFP provided. Second by Emily Jordan. All in favor? Any opposed? Royce Cantrell.
Mary, you should have got that in your email, probably about an hour and a half ago or so. I speak tonight mainly just to, for the public's benefit, certainly none of yours. Had a lawsuit going not too long ago. Last year we settled that thing. I settled it for a huge loss. For multiple reasons, but one of those reasons was to negate the excuse that every one of you, I think every one of you at that time, except for Lauren, wasn't around at that moment. But at any rate, one of the many reasons was to run a test on whether or not, if there was a pending legal action going, that you people would actually talk. Well, as expected, that was all just a bunch of bullshit. And then, of course, we have other legal actions that come up now. So, among other reasons, that's at least provides an excuse for you all to not talk. Yet again, it's just an excuse. As Ms. Jackson said one time, she did respond and say something honest. Well, she didn't want to meet because she didn't want to say something wrong. Well, by not speaking at all, that's wrong. You people represent the public. If you are afraid to talk to the public, then you're wrong. You do nothing to help us. So that's your choice. That's what you're doing. But as I had spoken here one night, and I told Miss Botkins that was here at that point, at that time, it's a very piss poor way to represent the people if you simply won't talk. So that's up to you. I do know this. First meeting of September of last year, I put you all on notice that to whatever extent you involved the city and involved yourselves into issues that stemmed from an occurrence down at the park, that I would be suing the city. So you were noticed then. It's yet to see just what that dollar amount's going to be, but at this point I can tell you it's well over $1 million, and it's growing every day. You're going to keep it going. That's your choice. You've proven time and time again that you are absolutely committed to it, and you can bet your butt I am too. There's no backing away from it this time. I've tried and tried. You are committed to using and abusing the authority of this city against anyone who contradicts you or speaks about things that need to be reformed. You're going to resist it. You're going to abuse the authority and the money of this city to do it. You're costing the city a lot. You're going to wind up getting in a similar shape like our neighboring county down in Ottawa County, Oklahoma. Those poor people are now saddled with a $33 million debt that they're going to have to figure out a way to pay off because of the poor management of the city council. And down there, it was some extremely rogue jail guards. You're committed to it, so let's roll.
Thank you. Michelle Smith, transient guest tax.
I don't know what that's about. Thank you.
Careful.
Oh, Michelle, be careful.
So, I'll just talk. Last December, well, last November, the community raised money to buy the Angels, or to replace the Angels. So, somebody asked me, well, how does Baxter have all of their stuff? And I go, oh yeah, transient guest tax. I'm not doing this because Aaron is opening things. This is all information about transient guest tax for the state of Kansas. The money that is paid out so far is in here. We don't have, it says anybody that Airbnbs, you can collect transient guest tax. You can collect transient guest tax as long as they are not 28-day stays or longer. So, like the Galena Motel, not everybody that stays up there stays for 28 days. So they should be paying transient guest tax. Aaron is going to be opening his thing. He was surprised that we didn't charge transient guest tax. When any of us goes anywhere, we pay it. We should be collecting it. It can be used for tourism and marketing dollars. And I'm pretty sure that Baxter paid for all of their Christmas decorations with transient guest tax. So that's just something that we need to look at. Personally, I don't benefit because I do not live inside the city limits, but I did contribute and I did help raise the money for the replacement of the Angels. And like I said, this is just information for you guys. Whether you choose to do it or not, that's on you, but I thought everybody should be aware. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I think we should definitely look this over.
We talked about it in like, I wanna say 2009 or 2010,
They opted out.
and they opted out of it, the council did at the time. So
Why
it goes to
did
the
they opt
county
out?
now.
County gets it.
Oh, go to the county.
So I mentioned it first time I was on term, and that was
Ah.
shortly, not too terribly long after that.
So how
And
did Baxter get their part of
They
it?
apparently did.
They opted in.
Oh. And I don't know what it would take to opt back in or any of that kind of stuff. I have mentioned.
The statutes are included in that stuff that I provided you. I did
Why
print the
did we opt
statute.
out then?
I can't tell you.
A lot of people feel like it's a double tax, where it's just discourages tourism because you're paying more, but
I
it's,
might think that, like in little town of Galena, you might be tempted to go on down the road. In Hawaii, it's like $45
because the
a
county,
night.
so let's say the
You're
county,
gonna go to Hawaii.
so the county charges this amount of tax, and then the city also, the county's charging theirs regardless, it's just whether the city wants to again, so it just,
You cannot, if a county collects it, a city cannot. That is stated in the statute. But you can get a portion of what the county charges. The county for the fiscal year 2024, I don't know what page number it is, but it's in this big packet, collected 5,000, that was the amount distributed for fiscal year 2024. Atchison, $5,333.61, which was down 15% from the previous year. So far for this year, they have collected $433.46. But they're only collecting 2%. The rates are in the form that says transient guest tax here. The rates for what everybody charges is in here, the cities and the counties. And Cherokee County is only charging 2%. They set that in June 1st of 1983. I'm going to Lansing this weekend, and I'm staying in Kansas City. I'm staying in Olathe because the hotels in Lansing are full. So I'm staying in Olathe. Olathe has a healthy one. I'm paying it because I need the room.
The government comes up with some creative ways to get some dollars.
Well, this one here is because at the end of the day, you're taxing the bodies coming through. You're not actually taxing our citizens. It's just one of those.
If you stay in a motel anywhere, you're paying it. For the majority of anywhere, you're paying it. Doesn't matter the city or the county, the state, you're paying it. Some of them call it a bed fee, some of it call it transient guest tax. They all call it something different, but it's all the same. Occupancy fee.
So it just stated that they would provide a higher cost. So I think we should look at it, maybe we can look to see if this would even be an option, because if it's not, then that kills it anyway. If it is, then we can look and see if that's something that we'd even want to discuss.
How many bed and breakfasts do we have in town?
Airbnbs.
6 or 7,
Yeah.
How many?
6 or 7.
There's 7.
And Aaron's building the 10 units.
Oh, yeah, I went to that the other day. It was colder than.
Yeah.
How cold was it? It was cold.
Is he?
Look cold.
And like I said, up at the Galena Motel, if they are not staying 28 days or longer, they should be charged transit guest tax. I do know that I know people that have stayed up there for a week or 2 weeks, not the whole 28 days, so they should be paying it as well.
Okay. You guys want to look more into this?
Oh, no, 100%. I said it several years ago. I
Okay.
just don't know how to get past we opted out of it. So at that point, I don't know who moves from there.
Does someone want to take this on to see what that next step would be, if it's an option?
We'll do it.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Good job, Lynn.
No, you will look into it a little more? Okay. Thank you, Michelle. All right. Library. I'll let you go first.
Oh, we have a new member here today, Tracy Island is, she's here, and I kind of expected more, but wasn't to be apparently.
More members?
No, more
Oh.
members, because they told me they would come at the last meeting.
Well,
Probably would have. We are celebrating Dr. Seuss this week, so if you want to come down and do fun stuff, Cat in the Hat. We're doing Dr. Seuss this week. We had a question about the roof. Have we found out anything about the roof? I know we had someone come and look at it.
An engineer came on Friday, and we are waiting to hear back from the insurance company.
So we're waiting to hear back from them?
Yep.
Well, we still have a couple of holes in our ceiling. And one of them leaks whenever it rains. And the other one is still, when the guy came through, when he was up inspecting the upstairs or the attic. And we have a beam that is sagging. And we might need to have someone look at that.
Is that from a leak?
No, that is just the beam between the young adult section of our library and the regular library. We have a beam that is starting to do this, it's starting to sag. We had the Kansas State librarian come in and visit with us this last week, and he was a very nice gentleman. Spent about an hour with us and went to eat lunch. So his name is Ray Walling. He was a very nice gentleman, but he spent some time with us and talked about all of the things that we were doing, and he was very gracious and was complimentary about all of the different things that the programs that our community is working on with our library.
Good, great.
So
I didn't even know there was a state library director. Learn something new every day. Thank you, Ms. Bash.
thank you.
Police Department.
Alrighty, I talked to you guys at the last council meeting. Today's actually my 4th week here. And I've kind of told you some directions that I wanted to go, one of them being the transparency of the police department. So from now, so every 2 weeks, we will be putting out our numbers from what we've done for that 2-week time period. And so what I went ahead and do for this first meeting was bring the ones from February 3rd to March 3rd, where we responded to 98 calls for service. We had 12 self-initiated events, 29 traffic stops, 42 reports taken, 3 agency assists, 7 arrests, a DUI, and 1 felony drug case. We also you guys may have heard about this, I put some stuff out on it. We had a homicide suspect. He committed a homicide over in Carthage, Missouri. He came over to a house over in Galena at 119 West 10th, and we were able to successfully take him into custody without incident. And I had just met I think I talked about this too, where I sit down with all the agency heads from the chiefs of police from all the agencies around here. I talked to the sheriff at Cherokee County, Brian Henderson. We actually had talked about, if something like this were to happen, we wanted to have a plan in place since we maybe have only one guy working and 2 guys on. So that meeting that day went full circle on that Sunday morning when I got the phone call that there was a homicide suspect in our town. So that incident was resolved with nobody getting hurt. The suspect was taken into custody, and that's what I want to do. I mean, that's the structure that we need to have in place where we have plans like that moving forward. And that's what, I've been working on at this point now. I was able to get, in my 4 weeks here, I've been able to get 1 full-time guy hired and 1 part-time guy hired. So we filled a couple holes there too in staffing, which, I mean, you guys are going to see the stats from the police department as far as calls for service and reports taken and stuff. So we've got to make sure that, that we're transparent with all that stuff so everybody knows that what's going on in our community. We also had an incident this month where we'd received a call of a guy coming through town. He did a home invasion out in Jasper County. He was coming through town. Our officers were able to, the victim was actually following the suspect vehicle, which was a stolen truck out of Joplin, and officers initiated a traffic stop. The gentleman fled on through Kansas and crashed out in the county, and we were able to get him taken into custody. Which was a great job done by all the officers that were working that day. And he actually had 2 devices in the vehicle that are believed to be pipe bombs with glass shards inside of them. So we think there was probably more to the story. ATF will be investigating that part of that, so we're looking at possibly some federal charges on for that too. So that's just a couple of, like I said, this has been in a 4-week period that I've been here, so. But I think it's going the right direction. I think the guys are doing a good job of being seen out there. I'm getting a lot of feedback from the community on that and trying to use our resources properly on the public side. I've been at every since I've been here, as far as I know, I haven't missed anything. I've been to 4 high school basketball games. So I've been trying to get out in the public and interact with people at the games and show, that we're here to support the community. I've already met with the city or with the school superintendent on the SRO program stuff and plans in place for something that if it happens at the high school or any of our schools in Galena. So right now that's kind of what I'm doing from the police department side, is just trying to meet with everybody and get the foundation and get our crucial needs and stuff met at the department so we can provide a better service.
It's been like night and day different. And Tracy could probably attest best because she's down here every day with them. I will attest, I was part of the statistic. I was pulled over. I wasn't the DUI or the drug, but I was pulled over too, so I'm part of that statistic. But it is nice. I hear it all the time. The police are out and about. They see them at the schools. They see them at the events. Like, that's really nice to see, especially we've had several transition periods the last year or so it's been nice to see that happen again.
There was also a big shout out on Facebook to one of the officers that helped the lady who ran her car in the ditch.
Yeah.
There's been some good.
I like also using that other resources that you talked about. So that murder you talked about, some of our kids at school, they weren't involved, but they were at the later scene here in town. And they were talking and they said, Ms. Gross, it was legit, which I told them, don't say anything to me incriminating because I don't want to know anything. But they said, it was legit. These cars, we saw them hiding. They were not marked. And all of a sudden, here they come. And they said, it was scary. This guy was yelling at me. He was like, that was serious. I said, well, good. I hope it was scary. Like, I hope you.
I heard the same story.
Probably from the same kid. Probably from the same kid. So, anyway, I think that, for this situation, I think it's good that there's that kids and adults alike are seeing some of that kind of stuff. So.
I'm working right now. I'm starting to work on a grant that should get us. Our radios are pretty far, behind, so we're having a little trouble communicating with them. So we're working on writing a grant for getting us some new radios, which will be digital, so we can communicate with the surrounding agencies a little clearer, so hopefully
Great,
we can get that accomplished too. So.
awesome. Josh, I know you gotta go in like 2 minutes, so I'm gonna let you go real quick. I should have started with you.
Oh, no, you're fine. I don't really have anything, update the snow plow. I know you guys all noticed we had trouble with that.
Hey, I was just happy to see my road get plowed.
Yeah,
Same,
every road in
same.
town got plowed and treated, but, it didn't appear that way at first. Had a little trouble with it, you know, it got stuck in the ditch at one point, but we've had, every time we run that plow, something falls off of it. It came from up north, it's 25 years old. We've got it back going now, so we're ready for this snow. What is it, Emily, Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one we're gonna get tonight.
We're not gonna get any snow, but, so we got that, we're working on, pickleball courts still, so that's, I think there's a proposal going to the school first, and then it'll come to the city, where we're gonna do kind of a joint project on that.
Where are they gonna be at?
Well, propose next to the football, practice football. But school would have to go through them first.
Kind of preliminary right now.
Yeah.
Just trying, there's been several times people have asked about them.
Yeah.
Went over and looked at Baxter's and did some measurements, and we've got something kind of similar, a little smaller, but similar dimensions on per court and space on the sides. I was gonna bring up something else too. I don't remember what it is. Oh, we're probably gonna look at getting some truck mounted snow plows also, since our big truck. We just have one other, you know, I talked to other communities around to see what they had. Baxter has 3, I think Columbus has 3. Ours went down, Cherokee County actually loaned us one, and it was a truck with a truck mounted plow, and it worked pretty well. So I think if we got a couple of those, to kind of fill in the gaps where we can't get the big truck. Or
You know, no bigger we are, that'd be great to have just on your truck, you know.
They're probably not gonna last as long, because they're not made as
But they're
heavy,
still
but
gonna-
they'll still push some snow.
A
It's
lot
better-
less cost, you know.
better than using a backhoe or something, which we did that too. So we'll get some numbers on that. Obviously, we're done with that this year, but I hope to be better prepared for that next year. We haven't really needed them in the last several years, but just having something there as an option that's not, you know, a new plow truck's $250,000. So a fancy one like what the county has is. You know, there's probably a few that are cheaper, but we don't need that here. We don't need to spend that kind of money on one, but some truck plows would help, maybe another spreader.
Well, the post office was very pleased with the city, taking care of their strip there.
We went and tried to hit the high traffic areas first, and the post office did call us. They were getting trucks stuck right and left, so we got that section cleared out. But there's about 3 of us that were out working overnight, trying to get ahead of it. So
Will you update real quick on the trash issue? How they weren't accepting why I got behind? I know there were a lot
yeah.
of
So we
questions
had
about
guys, yeah, our trash guys were there every day ready to go to work, but we didn't have anywhere to dump. So we dumped at Republic Services. When they closed there, I mean, they were open for their trucks, but they weren't taking anybody else. They did let us sneak in there one time and get dumped, but they were closed, I believe, for 3 days. And we couldn't dump, you know, until the 4th day, and then we were already behind. We were behind for Monday for the holiday, and then, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there was nothing we could do. Once your truck's full, you can't dump it on the ground, so you gotta wait for somebody to open. So that was, but the guys did a good job. They had double the trash, you know, this past week that they picked up, and they got done by quit time every day. I did get a few compliments that they did, you know, even a little bit extra. So got a really good crew doing that right now.
Great. Tracy?
So I just have one thing, so everybody knows our software has been having issues since G-Works went to the cloud, and it's just progressively getting worse. So I've looked into a couple of the companies, and Edmunds GovTech is one that actually has everything that we currently have all integrated together. We wouldn't have to go through multiple vendors, because that is a big issue. When you get into multiple vendors, it's hard to integrate them. So I did get a proposal from them. I gave you guys a copy of what it would cost. Of course, there's a one-time fee for them to take all our data for the last several years and put into their software, which is the $15,400 and the $6,000. And then the annual would be the $16,650 and the $2,000. So $18,650 is what our annual fees would be for 5 years. And that's roughly what we pay now. It's right at, I mean, it's within $100 of each other, I believe. And then I've also put in there some documents that they sent me that shows you what some of their reports look like, which is a lot like what we had when we had Simple City. Now we don't have access to most of those reports because G-Works doesn't have them anymore. They don't even offer it as an option. So moving forward, I would like to switch to GovTech based on them having everything we actually need and it works. Their response time on tickets is within 15 minutes if it's high priority. G-Works right now, I have some tickets that have been open for 6 months, and I'm still waiting on some form of communication on.
Tell them some of the issues that you've had, other than just the ticket response. What's some of
The tickets are billing, which we do monthly. I can't do billing. I could do billing in about 2.5 hours. It takes me about a week and a half now. I'm the only one that can currently do it in the office because it's so messed up. You have to manually almost enter 500 of the accounts out of the 1,400 we have. Very time consuming. Payroll, 1 week will run smooth. The next week, 4 or 5 employees drop off and they're non-existent. You have to put in a ticket and it takes 2 or 3 days. So, I mean, our people need to be paid weekly. That's a major issue for me. Finance reports are off. I have to figure them myself. I'm doing a lot of manual work that the system should do for us. It throws weird numbers, you put in a ticket, takes some months to get back to you. So it's just a mess.
How soon could Edmonds take over?
So it will be the 1st of next year. So our contract with G-Works isn't up till the end of the year because we've already, you pay 1 year in advance. So, and they proposed it could take up to a year to move the data to GovTech, but the quicker the better if we get moved over so they could get started. So, yeah, we need to move pretty quick with it if we're gonna switch. If not, we're gonna be locked into G-Works a whole other year.
I talked to Tracy about this, and it was probably shortly after we already got committed, because she was having problems about what it took to get changed. And apparently I asked the question, what, just a month or so too late or something like that? So, I have no problem moving forward. I think we've gave this company ample opportunity.
And we're not the only city.
No.
I mean, it's tons of cities that have G-Works that are having the same issues.
That's another thing. I've talked to other cities that have Edmonds or GovTech, whichever you want to call them, and they are very happy and pleased with what they have. So it's functioning, their call response, that was the main thing. I was like, okay, they're telling me 15 minutes to 30 minutes on the ticket, and they're like, yes, they call you. Wow, I don't know how I would deal with that. Because right now
it just sounds like G-Works was not ready for the high volume of switch to the cloud.
Correct.
And they just can't even catch up, so it's been a problem for months now.
Yeah, several cities are actually moving to GovTech and then Jayhawk, but Jayhawk didn't have everything we needed. So
what do we need to do to move forward with this one? Because you know me, I was already on board last year when we started talking about this.
Approval of their proposal, I roll off. At this point, I gave you guys all the stuff. This year we would have to pay the 21,400 and then the annual fee would be due in January. 2026.
Because they would start moving it.
Yeah, they would start moving it immediately almost.
Why don't we, let everybody take that home and you can look over the proposal? And then if that's something that anybody wants to move forward on, we can take a vote if that's the will on next meeting. So we'd have to pay the 21 up front.
Yes.
But we wouldn't actually start using it till 26.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, they're already working on it.
Because they're working on it. Yeah,
Yes, because they
Right.
start working on the data.
Right.
And they actually have a few things on here that we don't currently have that would add to it, so they give us more options to, like the Parks and Rec stuff. That would be like if someone called in to book one of the parks or whatever.
Yeah.
And you could actually do that online. The citizens would be able to do that online as well.
Oh, that's nice.
And see what's available.
Like a calendar.
Correct.
Is that okay with everybody?
Honestly, I mean, I would rather just move forward. I mean, if it's something, but this isn't just been a few months thing. You're well aware of that. And we've got our city clerk that's working a ridiculous amount of hours every single week because of this problem. And last thing I want to do is create a situation where all of a sudden we can't get our information done, if they say it can take up to a year, I mean, if you guys wanna wait till one more council meeting to look at that, I think if we gotta try to figure out how we're gonna fund it, I think it's,
I think we need time to look at it. I mean, 2 weeks is not gonna make a break. They're not gonna be running the system anyway for a year, so.
I understand that.
So.
But I'm also saying that if you spent much time up here at all, you'd understand that this isn't something that G-Works has just kind of dropped the ball on. It's literally something that they should have never even brought to the market. And it's done nothing but hurt our department up here. Like, not just hers, anybody else's in water, everybody. So,
And they have given a little bit of a discount, like $2,000 or something for the,
Yeah, it wasn't much.
yeah, it wasn't much, but they did for all the trouble.
I'm agreeing, I wanna get away from that one too.
You should have had a $2,000 water bill
You can't catch them all. Looking at 1,500 accounts, it's hard to catch them all.
I know.
Okay, so are we all okay with taking it home, looking at it? Is that what the consensus? Yes, okay. All
Thank
right.
you, that's all I had.
Steve is on vacation. He's actually sending me pictures from Disney World, making me jealous.
I
Right?
did get a comment from fire that worked out here this week, that lady was so impressed with how fast they got out there and how.
Well, he wasn't there, he was at Disney.
Oh, he'll tell his crew, fine job.
All right, I need about a 10-minute executive session, just keeping it, city clerk and city attorney and police chief.
I make that motion from 6:54 to 7:05. Well, now it's 6:55 to 7:05.
Did you say 6:55?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion by Emily Jordan for an executive